Hello, I am revisiting the Fuzz Guitar 1 preset from the ARP Pro Soloist. I have one of those to my left. And I'm sorry you're just hearing the camera audio. One of the neat things about the sound is it simulates a feedback. And viewer and loyal commenter, True Film, always has good ideas. Thank you. He had suggested about the Pro Soloist patch having pulse width modulation on it, and he's totally right. I think I had replied something about the filtering, and there's definitely weird filter things going on in the digital memory of the Pro Soloist. And I hear stepping in some of the low notes. And the stepping actually is rapid at first, and then it kind of, so it's more of a curve like this, I think, you know. So I done my best here, and I took True Film's suggestions, and it really works well. So let's hear them. Here's my Pro Soloist. Here's my patch here. So let me tell you what I've done here. If you don't have any patch cables into the mixer, VCO1 and VCO2 default to the pulse. So if I don't plug anything in, you're going to get pulse wave. And then VCO3 defaults to the sawtooth. But there's pulse width modulation in VCO2, which is controlled default by noise generator. And VCO3 is controlled by the ADSR envelope. And that's what I wanted. I wanted this decay time to affect that pulse width modulation. So what I do is I've got the pulse width out of VCO3 defeating the sawtooth here, and I have that all the way up in the mixer, so we're just hearing one oscillator. And then I set the pulse width to the center. It doesn't look centered, but I tried to match the pureness. You know, maybe there's a calibration or a warm-up thing. So at the end of my note, I'm going to hold the 2600 down. And so you can hear, right? And then this envelope is controlling the decay of the pulse width. So however high this is going to be a higher pulse. So listen, saw. And I found that in the middle came close to the starting pulse size of the, my dog is getting fed. Sorry about the barking. So this is the starting point of the guitar pick being plucked. And then this is the ending point of the feedback. And this is how fast it gets there. Now, I had to defeat the ADSR in the envelope. So if I left this alone, the filter would be the same speed and be all beow. Right? And if I turn it down, you can't hear anything because it's not going through the mixer. There's more that maybe I don't understand. Maybe I don't have to do this. Someone can comment. So I'm taking the output of the AR envelope, and I'm using that to control the filter. So we have a more on-off. I have a little bit of release here to match the release. You know, if I turn this off, it's a little, we don't get the boing, right, that we get here. Okay, so there it is. I think this is pretty usable. So again, oscillator 3 because it has pulse width on the ADSR, but you need to send the output of the pulse wave to the mixer. And then my ADSR is attack and sustain down, a little bit of release, and my decay, which is creating the feedback transition, is about halfway. Defeating the ADSR in the mixer by using a more straight-ahead AR envelope. Setting the pulse width size to basically a square wave in VCO3 at 50%. And then using the amount of the pulse width modulation about halfway, so we get that starting point to to feedback. Here's the Pro Soloist again. Now, if I make this longer, it's cool. And maybe you have more flexibility than you would. Well, there's tons more flexibility on this, right? But I'm trying to match it. I'm going to do the two sounds together. And all that beating you're getting is in the LFO. So I'm going to go back to the Pro Soloist. There is a speed, just so you can kind of hear how the LFO is modulating the pitch slightly, okay? So you can hear an onset delay. It goes, ba, right? So I'm going to change the speed slowly. And that's as fast as it gets, right? So some entangled. Right? So he would turn it all the way down to play things like In the Cage and Squonk. So now I'm going to go to my 2600. I'm going to try to match the delay onset and the depth and the speed. I think I did a pretty good job. Let's hear how immediately it comes. Here's the Pro Soloist. Whoops. So, ba. I find it gets really touchy up in this range. I don't know if that's mine or all of them. No, too much depth. I feel like my low speed is good, okay? So that was this. I think it's pretty good, and I only used 2 cables. So thanks, TrueFilm. I knew it was possible, but I was thinking about it at work all day today. Like, there's got to be a way to do it. And I was excited to come home and figure it out. So 2 patch cables, 1 oscillator. Really, this 2600. It's funny, on today I just saw Reverb has, maybe they're sold out. They reissued the full-size Korg 2600 with the keyboard. It's like $4,500. And I really wanted to buy it. But then I told myself, like, no, this is fine. I can get all the sounds out of this. And I would say the mini Korg one doesn't have the keyboard, and they have speakers here. They don't have all of the duophonic and LFO with the delay onset that you would need to get Genesis sounds or just really cool lead sounds. You know, if you're doing Tangerine Dream, blip, blop, blip stuff, maybe you don't need this. But this Behringer 2600 for $500 to $600 is, I mean, you can make any sound you want. I get the quadra leads. You get all the 2600 leads from Trick at the Tail, Wind and Wuthering, and then there were 3, and then the 1978 tour. And I think I've proven that you can get the Pro Soloist sounds that you want. You just can't switch them, obviously. You'd have to do some patching. So if you're going to do Cinema Show, you'd have to do it how he did it on the 78 tour, which is probably, I think what he's doing is like having certain things, like one tuned at an octave and then pulling things in and out, maybe having a saw also going into another ring mod. So he has like a saw and a square and a pulse available, and then another one that's an octave higher, you know, for like Cinema Show. Give it a listen. Listen to the 78 tour. There's some really cool stuff that he did live with the 2600. So that is my advice. Don't buy a silly Pro Soloist. Don't buy a $4,500 Korg. Just get one of these, learn how to use it, and you'll have all the sounds you need.